So tax season tends to be probably the most stressful time of year for anybody who's in public practice. So today I'm going to talk about 3 strategies that I use that help me survive every tax season year after year. My name is Jean-Guy Talbot. What we discuss on this channel are ways to improve your practice, increase your profitability, and regaining control of your own practice and having a better work-life balance. Regardless of who you talk to, everybody has a different strategy on how to deal with the stress of every day of being in practice. And this is especially true during tax season, where we tend to put in very, very long hours. And most of us will end up also working Saturdays and Sundays. So there's not much chance for us to really recharge the battery because it's just go, and not much opportunity to let go. So over the years in being in practice, I myself developed 3 strategies. And what I'm going to do is share those 3 strategies with you. Now, like I said, everybody's got their own things, and you could probably talk to 10 accountants and they're all going to give you 3 different things. But I thought, well, if I shared what I did, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of those things may be something that you guys would like. But before I continue, one thing I'd really appreciate is if you're looking at this at YouTube, that you put your comments below as to what works for you. So anybody who views this video will not only have the strategies that I use, but the wisdom of everybody else out there who's listening to this video. So this would be really fun to see what everybody does to help them cope, survive late day to day, and not only survive, but thrive and having it be fun. So let's get started. So the first thing that I think is really important, and for me, it was to take time for me. So for example, I know a lot of practitioners who will not even take time during lunchtime or supper time. They just eat at their desk and they work throughout all of that time. One of the strategies that I've always used throughout my whole career pretty much is when lunchtime came along, I would actually stop and have lunch in the lunchroom with all the other employees. And it's something I even largely encourage is everybody on the team to also stop for lunch. And I always found that was extremely healthy, to be able to take half an hour and maybe a little bit more to just laugh, vent about the problems, laugh about the clients who are giving us grief and all of that. It was just a way to just kind of go, whew. So I know for lunch at our place, it was usually a lot of fun, and we often, especially lately, even provide lunch for employees, so they don't even have to bring anything. We'll bring a crock pot of soup or something. So it encourages everybody to stop, go downstairs for lunch, and then come back swinging again. So taking time out for lunch, I think, and not eating at your desk, to me, is part of a healthy balance and allowing you to maybe survive tax season, making it more fun. And the same kind of goes for supper. So for me, what I would do, and I have the fortunate that I only live about 5 minutes away. So what I would do is I would usually knock off around 6 or 7 o'clock, around that time, go back home, have supper with my family, and even sometimes, you know, depending when the kids were really young, tuck them into bed, read their stories and all that, and then come back at the office at 8:30 or something like that, and then work till 10. But I found that an hour and a half at home gave a little bit of normalcy even during tax season. And I think sometimes a lot of people have a hard time surviving tax season because normalcy is totally out the window. So I think to have an hour or half an hour at lunch and then maybe an hour at supper time where you really get away from your desk and do something else, I think is a good way to keep your mind healthy. Another strategy that was really important for me was to have a vent, a place where I could mentally vomit all of the frustrations, things that didn't go well, and so on. And I've also discovered that it's a good idea that that person on which I'm going to vomit all of my problems not be someone on my team, obviously, and preferably not your spouse, or for me anyways. I didn't want for my wife to start to feel, well, every time she sees me during tax season, it's just time to pull out the umbrella because I'm going to barf all over her. So I think it's important that you have someone that you're at ease to kind of say, oh, this is a really difficult day. We lost this client, or here's what happened, or whatever. I think it's important that you have someone that gets it, that you can just talk to, and not be afraid that you're going to really drag them down. And the other thing that I've noticed, especially now that I'm doing less and less taxes and less of the work here at Talbot Associates and mentoring more and more people, a lot of people are now using me as their barf bucket. And I've realized I'm quite okay with that. And I think they appreciate the fact that I understand it. I've been there. And I think it's nice for them to feel, well, they can kind of vent whatever's going on in their lives and not feel judged, because whatever they've done and whatever they're feeling, I've probably done worse. And I'm okay with that. So for those of you out there saying, well, I'd sure like to have that person I can vent to at ease, by all means, don't be afraid of giving me a call, and I'd be happy to talk to you about whatever you're living. And then finally, I think too many practitioners look at tax season as being the thing that's all falling square on their shoulders, and that can be extremely overwhelming. So one of the things that I think is really important that you do is not be afraid of really, really relying on your team for everything that needs to get done. So if you're looking at your list and it says, oh my God, I'm never going to get all of this thing off of my plate today or this week or this month, well, look at your team and see if there's things in there that you could delegate. And don't fall victim of what most people fall into and say, well, they're not qualified yet, they're not ready. Well, trust me, they never will be ready. Just go ahead, give it to them, and you might be, and probably will be, pleasantly surprised of how well they're going to deal with whatever you throw at them. So delegate a lot more. So again, to go back through the 3 strategies. Number 1 is take time away from your desk. Try to provide some normalcy into what you do. And something I didn't mention when we were talking about that is to maybe try to do as much sport as you can. So for me, for example, I would make an effort of walking to work in the morning, and then during lunchtime or supper time, going for a small walk again. And so if you're into yoga, well, do a little bit of yoga or whatever during any time that you can. And if you're thinking you don't have time, even put it on the calendar. From this time to this time on this day is the hour I go out and play badminton or do yoga or whatever floats your boat. So number 1, do something to add normalcy to tax season that's outside the office, or at least away from your desk. Number 2, find someone that you can really talk to and vent. And number 3, rely on others. Don't be afraid of counting on your team to help you out. Well, I hope these things helped. And again, I really would encourage you guys to provide me your thoughts. Wouldn't be surprised. There's probably 10 other strategies out there that work really well with some of you. But unless you share it, well, nobody's going to know about it. And there's nothing wrong with sharing that.